for this summit. Can we have some microphones coming their way so we can briefly hear from them before we get to go into our very first session for today, which is actually session 4. Microphones? Microphones. Yeah, please. Let's bring it to the front. Okay, let's start from the back. Hello. One of you who raised your hands at the back. Let me see you again. Then just take the microphone. Tell us what your expectations are for today. Okay. Tell us your name. I probably may even have gotten the name of your school wrong, so you can go ahead and tell us the name of the faculty you're coming from. I know it's with the University of Ghana. Yes, it's working. Yeah.
Well, my name is Alex Agoka. I'm offering applied classes. My expectation is to know at least one person. Secondary school, I was told about the area of nuclear reactor, but since then, I've not heard any new thing. So my expectation is to see in the near future, we're going to have a very big reactor which is going to be more resourceful and have applications for power and as we do here in the other countries.
Yeah. Okay, but you've seen the research reactor. You've been to the research reactor. Okay, so definitely. All right, thank you very much. Anybody else? Maybe 2 more people, and then we can. Yeah. Good morning.
I'm from Sierra Leone. I'm an IU scholarship. I'm doing my MPhil at nuclear engineering, water aspect of nuclear science of technology. And I think I want to learn more about nuclear reactors, basically research reactors and nuclear power plants. And as of now, my thesis is going to be on aspects of nuclear research reactors. So I think I'm here to learn more. Continue with the classes that I want. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's move the microphone to the front here, and then let's have them also say something. But the thing I think I can tell you is there are lots of experts here, so you can engage them. As they come up, they get to speak, I get to introduce them, you identify them, you can approach them, ask them all the questions that you need to ask. Okay, so those are the front, yes. Let's hear from you as well.
Know what the rest of the world holds for Africa and Ghana, for that matter, when it comes to nuclear energy, and what advantage does it have over other sources of energy, especially in the time where we battling climate change.
All right. It would have been really helpful if you were here yesterday because we talked a lot about that. I'm sure the videos are available on the stream, so you can actually get to monitor that. So the final person, one last person. Yeah, you. Okay, so for you, please, what's your name? Okay, Selassie. I want to find out from you, what course are you doing? Nuclear applications. What does your family think about you working in that area? All right, so what do you think we can do to change that perception people have? Okay. To break it down. All right, great. Thank you very much, Selassie. A round of applause to all the students who joined us this morning and for your contributions. And we're going to be tapping more into your knowledge and your ideas. So please be open to share that with us. All right, so let's go on straight to our very first session. And it's on developing the next generation, bridging the human capital deficit in the African nuclear industry. So this session will discuss the activities and actions needed to be taken now in order to effectively build capacity in preparation for a nuclear energy future in Africa. And the keynote speaker for this morning is Wilhelmina Asamoah, who's the Chief Director of the Ministry of Energy. A round of applause to her as she makes her way here. Let's please sustain it as she makes her way up. So right after Wilhelmina, we'll have the first panel session. Morning once again, Wilhelmina.
Good morning. Representatives and heads of institutions of government and industry from the United States of America and Africa, Akwaba again to Ghana. The Director General of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, the Director General of Nuclear Regulatory Authority of Ghana, Executive Director, Nuclear Power Ghana, colleagues from the Ministry and the sector agencies of the Ministry of Energy, friends from the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's such a pleasure to be here this morning and to speak on a subject matter that is germane to the developments of the energy sector and its allied industries, and that's on human capital development in the context of nuclear energy. The importance of building a critical mass of human capital for nuclear energy is certainly not lost on us. Globally, nuclear power has become a competitive source of sustainable and clean energy. It has the potential to provide electricity to millions of people without any detrimental climate effects. However, it is probably clear that nuclear power is a highly advanced field, and that demands a specialized workforce with specific skill sets and knowledge. The competencies of the individuals involved, from engineers to the very last man on the hierarchy, are crucial to the safety and effective running of a nuclear power station. This, to all intents and purposes, calls for a rigorous training program or rigorous training programs and strong foundation for technical expertise, as well as continuous learning and development opportunities. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this very discussion involves every effort at creating a pathway for human capital development in nuclear energy, just like we do in all other disciplines. I believe that the conversation on human capital development in the nuclear space must begin with an appreciation of finding the right balance and nexus between academia and industry, as it happens in the other energy space and the larger industry. I hold a firm belief that it must start from the skill set right from the high schools, technical and vocational institutions, through university, where the bond for a collaboration between research institutions and industry, for example, is established. Africa should recognize the importance of highly qualified and sustainable workforce for its future nuclear power program and projects. The continent must actively work on developing an extensive human resource development plan in collaboration with other advanced countries. We must leverage on building on the already existing collaboration between academia and industry, and also foster a robust synergy with government agencies, institutions, research organizations, civil society organizations, among others, in carving clear pathways for capacity building. As a nation and a continent, we must be deliberate in building the necessary structure to develop the required capacity for the nuclear industry. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to say that the joint announcement made by the governments of the United States of America, Japan, and Ghana during the interministerial meeting held in Washington, D.C. in October 2022, with the two governments committing to support Ghana's human capital development was timely. It was timely in the sense that it feeds right into Ghana's preparedness to at the back of the cabinet approval to go the nuclear way without holding back at all. This move will support our collective efforts, and so we must intentionally advocate for academic offshoots such as internships, industrial attachments in the nuclear space, both locally and internationally. This is also a key step at giving our youth the needed exposure to operate seamlessly in the space. It's also worth mentioning and acknowledging the U.S. Department of Energy's announcement of making Ghana a hub for training on the margins of COP27. It came at a very opportune moment. And it's heartwarming that the Department of State and Department of Energy have initiated the process of establishing a regional training center in Ghana to train the needed manpower for the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, we're excited to see the implementation of the training facility, which will offer training programs, educational exchanges, and capacity building initiatives to our youth hinged on skills acquisition and knowledge transfer. As a sector, we will ensure that the youth apply themselves to these trainings earnestly. We are keen on developing partnership with experienced universities with emphasis on developing curriculum that responds to nuclear and offers a necessary foundation to our students. In our quest as a country to address our energy security through generation of electricity with diversified, clean base load to guarantee energy supply, Ghana developed the National Energy Transition Framework to provide the blueprint to decarbonize the energy sector and to help us transition to net zero. It is projected that Ghana will require an installed capacity of 83 gigawatts, consisting of 46% nuclear power, to meet the demand of upcoming electricity-driven economy by the year 2070. Hopefully, we should transit earlier than 2070. This means that Ghana needs accelerated human capital development to meet this ambitious target. There are huge examples around. We have the Graduate School of Nuclear and Allied Science, and I'm sure some of them are here with us. We have a Center of Excellence there. They are in strong collaboration with IEA. They provide postgraduate programs in nuclear engineering, computational nuclear sciences and engineering, medical physics, applied nuclear physics, radiation protection, nuclear earth science, nuclear and radiochemistry, and many other nuclear-related programs. And we must consolidate these efforts. And I think that we have a strong collaboration with the sub-region and the rest of the continent. And most of our students exchange programs from this base to the rest of the continent. I strongly believe that the development of knowledge management systems is a crucial component of guaranteeing the sustainability of human capital. A nuclear power plant's knowledge and experience must be adequately recorded, conserved, and passed on to a new generation of specialists. Countries on the continent must identify ways to facilitate knowledge management in their nuclear power programs and projects as a basis for effective peer learning. I dare say that proper management of human resource ensures that industry has competent, highly skilled, motivated personnel to operate and maintain nuclear power plants. Knowledge management ensures the continuous transfer and retention of critical knowledge and best practices relating to organizations to operate safety, efficiency, and in compliance with regulatory requirements and international best practices. We should therefore not only endeavor to develop the needed human capital, but also develop the systems that support our human resource development. We must stay focused on a nuanced and continuous international engagement and review in order to ensure sustainability and excellence. Here in Ghana, for example, the Ghana Education Service, the National Commission for Technical Vocation Education and Training, the Commission for Tertiary Education must initiate efforts geared towards creating spaces within the curriculum for nuclear energy models, taking inspiration from global academic leaders in nuclear. This can be replicated across the African continent as an underpinning for our collective progress and advancement. As I conclude, I'm of the firm belief that as we continue to hold these discussions and bring these important matters to the front burner, Africa can learn from examples like that of the United States and other examples around the world, especially as it is becoming increasingly clear that nuclear is the way to go on the back of all the numerous benefits it has to offer. I wish you all a very fruitful deliberation in the next session, and do have a fruitful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wilhelmina Sama is the Chief Director of the Ministry of Energy. So it takes us to our our panel discussion, and I would like to invite Ms. Rebecca DeLong Fosu, lawyer Rebecca DeLong Fosu, who will be chairing, and then she will introduce panelists. All right, and that's a splendid outfit, by the way. All right, so I'll do this for her. So let me invite your panelists for you, because you're looking gorgeous in your outfit. Lisa Marshall. Yes. Dr. Lee Petticourt. Etonam Akaho. And then Innocent Chohe. Innocent, I hope I got your surname right. Oh, wow. All right, so your panelists.
Okay, thank you so much, Israel, and hello to everybody, and Akwaba to our friends from the United States. Thank you so much. It's such a delight for us to be here. And I'm so glad to be seated here with all of you, Professor Mashal, Professor Petticourt, Innocent, Etonam. Good to see all of you here. So yesterday, I believe we commenced some discussions regarding how to develop the youth and how to prepare the next generation, as Ghana prepares to include nuclear energy into its energy mix. And so today is more or less like a continuation, trying to whip up some awareness, trying to whip up some interest in the youth in order for us to have the requisite manpower that we need to promote nuclear energy in Ghana. So we're going to go through a short section. We're going to have a conversation, if that's okay for you. And after that, we will invite a few questions from some of the students or other members who are interested in asking questions. Right then. So I want to believe we are ready. Can we start? We can. Thank you. So my first question, and I'm going to direct it to Professor Petticourt. Okay. My question is that in your experience, in your professional and in your lived experience, what do you consider as one of the major challenges that are identified that hinders, people in pursuing careers in nuclear energy?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and join you on the panel. And I particularly want to welcome the students. I think this is outstanding that the students are attending and getting a chance to see what is happening here in Ghana and more broadly in Africa with respect to nuclear energy. Going to your question, we heard the answer from this young man over here when he stood up in response to the initial question, and that is communication. That is informing the people, making them aware of what the opportunities are, and in my mind, really the ability of nuclear to respond to what I think is going to be the seminal challenge of this century, and that is addressing the opportunities on climate change, reducing carbon dioxide emissions. And in my mind, as that message spreads out, I think that's going to be instrumental in attracting new young people getting interested in this, because there is probably no bigger problem that we all face and the impacts in our country than that. And I think it's great that we have these students here already interested, already studying, and ready to take up this challenge.
Thank you. Now, Professor Marshall, do you think there are peculiar challenges that women face, in pursuing careers in energy that you would want to share with us?
So thank you once again for having me here and seeing so many of you. This has been a delight thus far, and I'm sure it will continue for the rest of the conference, the summit here. In way of women pursuing, we are head-to-head with the men in elementary school and partially in middle school. And then something happens where we kind of take a back seat. And we need to be able to engage with our young women and say, you can continue to do what you do, right? And for me, it is engagement early and often. There is this second guessing that happens in that formative age, and that we need to step in and show that it is possible and the different routes that are necessary. I'm much an advocate for mentors, and these are mentors that are long-lived, right? Relationship building early and often, and asking the question of, for me, was, what's your why, right? And to be able to help students to articulate that by asking it over and over again, and just kind of pushing further. So I think that is, when I look at all of the ages and the involvement of women and engagement of women, I think that is a crucial time. And if we can continue to light that fire at that time, to be consistent, we'll begin to see the change that is necessary, so you have more engagement of women in the field.
Thank you. So Professor Marshall talks about early engagement, and I believe that, our educational system is very important when we want to talk about engaging people right from the time that they are children. Before they grow up, they are interested in nuclear energy. Our educational system in Ghana, our educational system in Ghana, do you think it supports nuclear energy? Does it create enough awareness? What do you think? You've gone through the Ghanaian system.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Rebecca, and good morning to everyone. So I'll put it this way. I can assure you that a huge percentage of our graduates from the nuclear disciplines have not been to a nuclear power plant even before. And you ask yourself, where is the practicality in what they are studying? You'd realize largely that everything is largely theoretically based, and honestly, I think that is not good enough to support a nuclear power program. Frankly, it surprises me so far how good Ghana has come with this nuclear power program, bearing in mind that we lack these practicality in our studies, and it really impresses me. So the question I normally ask myself is, can you imagine how far we would have gone if we had all these practicalities? And I'm sure the students here will bear with me. How many of you have been to a nuclear power plant or even experienced a simulator training of some sort? I don't see any hands up. And that is the problem we do face. That is why these trainings with the Clean Energy Training Center and the simulator facilities coming together, I feel is going to propel us towards achieving nuclear power.
Right. Innocent, you're a Ghanaian and you're schooling in the US. And when we were talking, you told me that you didn't even have any science, you were a science student. So then, for somebody who didn't come from a science background, what got you interested in nuclear engineering?
Good morning once again. Thanks so much for the invite. I'm happy to be here. After all my technical knowledge, one of my passion is to develop young professionals and workforce education on the African continent. So I'm happy to be here today. Yes, I went to Pando Senior High School. I graduated back in 2007. All I wanted to do was to go to the US. That was the first thing. I didn't know I was going to do nuclear science, but I was a general arts student. So when I got to the university in the US, I was going for information technology. But when I arrived on campus, I received a lot of information on other programs that were available to me. So I took some physics and chemistry classes, and that was it. That was the moment I fell in love with it, and I took on from there. So coming back to the Ghanaian educational system, I think we have to do more work at the high school level, where we provide access to information to the young men and women about all the profession in nuclear science. There is a ton of them. I am a professional health physics, and I'm also a nuclear physics. It gives me 2 shirts. I can work in a plant, I can work in a hospital. So that's it. So we have to give the information to them, all the professions that are available under nuclear science as early as possible. You don't want to go through school and later find out this is not exciting, this is not what I want to do. So as soon as we get them at the early stage, we can spark some excitement about some of the things that we are discussing today.
You know, interestingly, I am not a nuclear engineer. I don't have any nuclear background. I am a lawyer, actually. And I also got interested in nuclear energy when, as part of my LLM, I had to visit Ghana Nuclear, the Atomic Energy School, and I went to the Nuclear Power Institute. And when I got there, a lot of perceptions that I had, you know, it didn't look like what I thought. I thought I was going to see atomic bombs, and just like the gentleman was saying. So I think it just takes, communication is very key in getting people interested. But I want us to consider other strategies, if there are any. Which are the strategies you think that we can adopt in order to get the young people, the next generation? I mean, you talked about starting from high school, even lower than high school. How do we get them interested? What strategy do you think has worked for the USA that you think can work for those of us in Africa? I'm going to start with Professor Petticoat. Yes, Professor Petticoat will answer that for us.
So you don't pick small problems to try to address, do you? I think there's some elements of what we're doing now in nuclear that are very engaging. And I'm going to take an issue with a comment from our friend, the ever-young Seth Deborah, that he made yesterday, in which he rightly pointed out what we're doing now in this next generation of nuclear is really built on sound science, technology. We understand the reactor physics, the thermohydraulics, and so on. But for the students, these are new systems. We're putting them together in different ways. We're taking advantage of the natural processes, natural convection, to really incredibly increase the safety margins of these new systems. And at least we are finding at my university in Texas that this is very engaging for the students, to be able to now work on these small modular reactors. It really fires them up. And I think that message translates down to the younger people as well, too, that this opportunity to bring the SMRs and do things that we haven't done with nuclear before. And we have this opportunity again back in Texas with X-Energy, and we have Jeff Harper here from X-Energy, where we're going to build 4 gas-cooled small modular reactors at a Dow chemical facility to generate process heat for the production, the chemical production. So now we see nuclear going off in new directions, responding to new problems. And again, I think this works its way down, again, with our communications question that was brought up, of what nuclear can do to really make an impact for society. So I think that's going to become the key, and we again see our students really carrying this message as well too. They are the peers, near peers to the younger students as well.
Professor Marshall, do you want to comment on that as well? What other strategies you think we can, put in place in order to get the youth interested?
So I think we need to tap into some other programs that are already there and expand them. There's a wonderful narrative to kind of piggyback on what you're saying and to get that out. And in a non-technical way as well as a technical way, right? And appropriate for the various ages. And to look at formal educational system and then informal as well. We get together with our youth. We get together in other spaces, right? In the U.S., I'm always involved with the Scouts, the Girl Scouts, as well as the Boy Scouts got rebranded to just being the Scouts, right? So their particular program, there's nothing like bringing students of all ages onto the campus itself to visit the labs. And not only just to visit, but then also to roll up their sleeves and do some science, right? Exactly. So I think about our first year undergraduate class, and it's general engineering, and each one of the departments has to put forth a project. And our project is light sensitive monitor for the pulsar reactor, right? And of course you say it that way, and individuals are going, well, I don't have the background necessary to do that. So we interacted with the students and said, well, you did it. Why did you do it? And how can we rebrand it? And they came up and said, let's call it the nuclear power probe. You're building a nuclear power probe and you're going to test it in the research reactor. And amazing, right? Just that change in language and engagement with individuals, with other students, to think about how then we will tell other students about that particular project. Increase the number of individuals participating in that particular project, right? And then we're starting to see an increase. Well, it's like, I've seen the blue glow, right? And then they're all excited and they're explaining what they did. Before they know it, they are talking about the light-sensitive monitor for the pulsar reactor, right? But in a conversational language, and they are expressing that excitement about what they just did in their first year. And I think that is very important, how we engage that communication, the storytelling that we are engaging with or participating with other students, etc. And then I just wanted to say also that how we engage with our teachers, our educators, is very important as well. Throughout their education to become educators, we should be engaging at that level as well, so they feel comfortable with the discipline, and then also know that they've got a number of different advocates, resources, both in way of the material, the labs, the research reactors, in addition to the people power as well.
Thank you. So, Innocent, I can see that you want to comment on the strategies, but Professor Marshall spoke about how teachers also have to engage the students. And I remember you were telling me about how your physics teacher got you interested in nuclear. Do you want to share that? You want to share that with us?
Definitely. So I got to my first physics class in college, and the professor wanted to talk about molecules, and he said a marriage between oxygen and hydrogen. And I was like, what's happening here? And he said, can somebody tell me why oxygen is having two ladies? Because oxygen wants to be stable, so he needs two hydrogens to be stable. So that was it for me. So I feel sometimes it comes to teachers. We have to, sometimes in the agriculture sector, we have farmer-to-farmer programs. So in the education sector too, on the African continent, we need to invest in training our science teachers also on how to teach some of these programs so that the youth and children can have some excitement that comes with it. So there are moments that I've experienced in the United States that just spark my energy into science. Like I said, I was a general student. The only way I was general science in high school, and I've never took physics and chemistry, but I excel in everything. And also to the students here, you have to put in a lot of effort also. There's a lot of resources online. If you don't understand the concept, you go to YouTube. YouTube has been my best friend for my life in all my difficult classes. When they teach it, I don't understand. I take my time to go to YouTube to really learn the concept very well. So we also have some sense of responsibility to learn as well from teachers that were taught in class. Yes.
So, Etonam, I know you're a part of the stakeholders engagement team. And, stakeholders engagement is a way of reaching out to people about what nuclear power, nuclear energy is all about. In the movements and in the various places you've visited, how has your interaction with the youth, young people who are not professionals, non-professionals, how has the interaction been like?
So quite often, we do visit the senior high schools, and we do speak to young ones. It will interest you, just like he said earlier, that there's a huge misconception about nuclear. And in this sense, it's always linked to the bombs. And I honestly do not blame them, because if you are familiar with Hollywood and the likes, I think there's a TV drama by name Chernobyl, and they pump in $40 million US in the production alone. And you have people that are willing to subscribe for like $16 a month to just watch that. And that is shrouded in lots of misconceptions. So basically, misconception is out there, and you have sections of the youth and society that are willing to even buy in and watch this misconception because it's a source of entertainment for them. So clearly, when it comes to the divide, the argument between the misconceptions against the truth, clearly the misconceptions is winning. And it's a big problem. So the good thing is that we go with a benefit-oriented approach, where you let them know that this is what is in nuclear for you. For instance, I do often hang out with my friends, and they get surprised to know I work with the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. There's initially that pause, and again, there's usually the question of, so what's up with a weapons program? Are we doing any missiles of that sort? And I take a pause, and I let them know, no. Then also, they know I'm not into the sciences actively. So they are wondering, what on earth am I doing?
Sorry, you have an economics background?
Yes, an economics first degree.
Right, okay.
And they get surprised that, what are you even doing there? And that alone shows you that they do not understand how close to 90% of people in certain nuclear establishments are not necessarily nuclear engineers. And this further highlights the fact that they are not aware of the opportunities in there for them, regardless of the disciplines those who come from. So basically, it's the issue of the misconception, and I strongly believe we can fight that by going with a benefit-oriented approach to get them interested. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now let's look at it from the African perspective. We're looking at African governments in general. Briefly, I would want each and every one of you to comment on, what benefits that including nuclear energy to our energy mix will, accord various African leaders. Just briefly, if all of you can just comment on it, and then we can proceed on that. Because we'll be making noise about, getting the youth involved, educating people. One person may ask, okay, so as a government, what do we stand to gain in including nuclear energy in our energy mix? So I'll start from you, Professor Marshall. You may want to just comment on it briefly. All the panelists will. So,
for industrialization to happen, for quality of life to continually improve, there needs to be an energy portfolio that has nuclear within it. And then you look at the other application of the technology in other aspects of our lives. It is crucial overall for us. Government, any government, can then lead by having certain policies in place that positions energy production, in particular nuclear energy production, in its mix. And in particular, you have on the Minister of Energy, and then you've got also the Ministry of Education and others, to have that from their lens within the policy then helps to drive what happens in the schools, what happens in industry, and some of the cross-pollination that has to happen for us to be propelled.
Professor Petticoat?
So I would like to also kind of pivot off some of the discussions from yesterday. Unfortunately, the students weren't here. But to mention a word that has become very important in the United States with respect to nuclear, as we see the ever-growing and very positive investments in solar and wind. And the word we didn't mention yesterday is dispatchable. And that is energy that is going, electricity that is available at all times. And that's what nuclear is bringing. And if I may, I'll go back to one of the examples in Texas, into the Dow Chemical experience that I was just referring to. And Jim Fittering, the president and CEO of Dow Chemical, said one of the reasons that they are bringing nuclear to their facilities is that they cannot tolerate a millisecond in terms of unavailable electricity for their processes. And so nuclear SMRs, and for Africa, and of course Ghana has had your own experiences even recently in this, is having this assured, reliable, dispatchable electricity available at all times. We're dealing with it in the United States because of the intermittent nature of the renewables. But in Africa, it is because of other factors as well too. It was pointed out by the experience in Ghana, unavailability of natural gas, I believe. So I think this is the thing that nuclear is bringing, the idea of the reliability, the dispatchable power that you really need to build the things that Lisa Marshall was just pointing out. And if I may take a footnote, for all of you, I want to mention that our colleague, Ms. Marshall, is the Vice President and President-elect of the American Nuclear Society in the United States. And I cannot imagine a more forceful voice for nuclear and a greater role model. She's young, at least to me, so that reaching out to these younger generations, I think she is going to be a superb individual. And I encourage all of you in Ghana and here in Africa to build this collaboration with her as well too, to further this message of nuclear and the role it will play on the continent and for your country.
Wow, thank you. Yes, thank you. And congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Prof. Marshall. Okay, so at now, many Innocent, you may want to just comment, briefly on what benefits, coming from the Ghanaian perspective.
So
Why do African leaders need to go nuclear?
I always say happy youth, happy government.
Okay.
And so any way to engage the youth, to keep them busy and put money in their pockets, it's something every government should go for, and the youth is going to be happy. Because I can assure you, every youth in this hall here, regardless of the discipline they are in or the programs they are studying, it's all about, at the end of the day, putting money in their pockets to take care of their families and to take care of themselves. So if you're able to have that standard baseline where every youth is happy in the nuclear industry, I think we are good to go, honestly.
Innocent.
I just want to add a little bit to what Etonam said. About 60% of African population is under the age of 25, so it's a very young continent. And I think the time is now. We have some countries like South Africa who has been doing it. A lot of countries have been doing nuclear energy in the past. It opens a lot of opportunity, jobs. We said that yesterday. And you can see some of the youth yesterday were very anxious to work. So we need to make that decision now. And also, it opens a lot of doors in the worldwide where we see pharmaceutical companies coming here for radiopharmaceutical productions, for our healthcare industry, so that we can be able to treat cancer better from the use of nuclear science. So I think it's just a great opportunity for African governments to speed up and get this done for us. We, the scientists or the young professionals in the diaspora, we can pack our bags and come back home and then give back to our continent as well. Thank you.
I thought you were going to put your hands together for that. Right. So, we are talking about developing the skill set that we require, in order to have a very strong human resource for nuclear energy. What does a typical training facility in the US, you are doing it, so we intend to learn a lot from you. What does a typical training facility, nuclear energy training facility in the US look like? What needs to go into it and having a very good training facility? Prof. Michelle, yeah.
So at a university, it's a combination, right? Because there's experimental and there's computational, there's the theoretical. And any one department has to have that combination, that mix. Expert faculty members, a diverse grouping of those faculty members, so that there is an engagement and from the student perspective, they can see themselves doing that work and being in that location as well, because we also need a number of university professors in the STEM fields, in particular engineering. And then one has to have that engagement with industry, right? For those experiential experiences, the internships, the co-ops, the use of the technology prior to graduation as well. And I also think one needs to have, I know that one needs to have dedicated professional staff that work with folks in the pre-college space. So high school, middle school, elementary school, to be able to build a relationship and to communicate and get individuals excited about the technology and its application. And then to work on a day-by-day, not just a program and then leave, but a day-to-day basis to have engagement with the material. And also to engage with our pre-service teachers, so whilst they're studying to be educators, as well as your more seasoned or new teachers that are out in the field. We need to have those engagements as well with them on a continual basis. So in my world, it's not about the pipeline, it's about what kind of ecology is necessary to be built for the education to happen. And that education happens two ways. I learn just as much from my students as I impart on them, right? And it gives you ideas about how to impart that information and to grow new information, right? By that long-lasting relation, building that relationship and cultivating it in a very special way. So it's really, to me, to change our lexicon from a pipeline, because I think of it as well, we need more, we're just gonna push more through, to think about, seriously, how then, this is a lifelong relationship, right? We talked about 100 years relationship between nations once we go down this particular route of nuclear. It's the same for our personnel.
Professor Petticoat?
Yes, I'd like to then kind of build on Lisa Marshall's remarks as well, too. And again, we heard yesterday that the nuclear endeavor needs many more than just nuclear engineers. There is a pie chart that my colleague Stephanie Chakowski put together with data from industry about currently the staffing at a nuclear power plant in the United States, so it's somewhat specialized. So out of maybe 400 to 450 technical people at the plant, only about 5% are nuclear engineers. And as a nuclear engineering professor, it hurts my heart that that's not closer to about 80%, but the utilities say no, 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 no. So one of the messages out of this is we need many more people than nuclear engineers. And one that I would like to mention along the lines of your asking is what is happening in the United States and elsewhere in terms of preparing the bulk of the workforce. About 70% are technicians. And these are an absolutely critical part of the technical staff at any nuclear power plant. In the United States, again, through the leadership of the Nuclear Energy Institute and the Nuclear Uniform Curriculum Project of developing 2-year programs. These are for students 19, 20 years old, right after secondary school, to prepare them for roles as technicians in a nuclear power plant. And the singular thing about this is how different these programs look at what we call community colleges or junior colleges in the U.S. than compared to what we have at the academic programs at the four-year institutions like North Carolina State, Texas A&M, and many others. And they're very applied, they're very hands-on. The teaching equipment they use is often the same equipment as what's at the nuclear power plant. The students are learning on the same motorized operated valves and so on. And so I think this is tremendous. And it's very important for any country to think about how you're going to replicate that. And then the last piece I will mention, and again addressing the students, is that we need, again, many disciplines. We need the mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, and other engineers at the nuclear power plant. But your job, okay, is to have them become familiar with their responsibilities. They're bringing their background, knowledge, and talents from their engineering disciplines, but their roles in a nuclear facility, the focus on safety, the development of the safety culture, the commitment to security, observing best non-proliferation practices, and so on. So you have a bigger job than just being nuclear engineers, okay? You are to bring along the whole remaining part of the workforce and the non-technical part as well. So this is a continuum, in my mind, of many different pieces. All has to be put together thoughtfully and effectively to produce the kind of workforce that is going to be needed for emerging nuclear technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Petticoat. So it looks like we're running behind time. We want to invite some questions from some of our students or some of our members over here. Before that, can you put your hands together for our panelists? They've been so resourceful, and I want to believe that we've learned a thing or two from them. Okay, I already see some hands up there. I have two gentlemen there. And then, okay. So we'll take the first question from my gentlemen. Are they to come forward, or they can, is there a microphone there?
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Abubakar Sadiq Aliyu from Nigeria. My question goes as follows. I don't know, there's this gap between the existing expert and the upcoming expert in the nuclear industry. This is not just peculiar to Africa, as I've related to a nuclear expert across the globe. I realize the problem is similar in many places. Now, how do we intend to cover these gaps? Are there any ways or modalities that we put in place so we can cover these gaps? Because without covering this gap, then there's a huge problem. And the gap is not only with respect to age, also with respect to the knowledge. Thank you.
Okay, I'd be interested in finding out what do you mean by gap in knowledge?
Like the know-how,
as in, do the current generation or the existing professionals or experts, do they know more?
Exactly. The existing, the one going out of the industry, like the one that
they are more knowledgeable about.
More knowledgeable than the one coming up. And it seems to me that the gap is wide. I don't know if you understand the question.
Right.
Professor Petticoat.
Well, this is an excellent question, and thank you for that. I think this kind of addresses the idea of a gap as well, too. But another element, we talked about some of the key parts of, again, the SMR technology, relying on natural process and so on. The other underlying technology that is emerging with SMRs is that of digital technologies. We didn't really bring that up yesterday. And so as you compare, for example, the difference between a control room and a currently operating power reactor in the US built on analog technologies, the move to digital technologies is quite dramatic. And you, of course, will be seeing that with your digital control room simulator that's coming from this partnership with the US with with the Department of State and DOE. Now, it seems to me this is an opportunity, because if there's anything that the young generation is good at, it's digital technology. And now I think for us, the older folks, I put myself in that category, is understanding how to build on that. My best resource for my iPhone is my 11-year-old granddaughter, okay? She understands that she can do things that I don't understand, and it takes a while for me to recover from. But we have this base, and in Ghana you have many other activities built on digital technologies that I think can now be drawn upon. This is one of our challenges in the U.S., is to understand that, and for those of us in academia in the U.S. and nuclear engineering to draw that in and embed that in our curriculum. So it's a new world, and again, in a lot of ways, we have advantages in all our countries because of the familiarity of the next generation, the young generation, in this very important area of technology that is digital, that is going to be the foundation for small modular reactors.
Right. So, briefly,
can I add
you want
something
to add?
to the student? I'm going to tell you something that has worked for me to close my gap along my journey is to join associations in my profession. I was able to quickly identify what I wanted to do, so I'm always on LinkedIn, finding people with the same title as me. I'm adding them, I'm asking questions. I'm very aggressive with my networking, and I take very advantage of my associations that I'm in as a student. Sometimes it's free for me. I get travel grants to present at some of these conferences. I get to meet people in my profession, network, and follow up immediately. So that might help you as well.
And if I may,
Yes.
just quickly. So basically it's about bridging the gap between the senior generation, the experts, and the incoming. And my viewpoint here goes out to the experts in the hall. I think mentorship and succession planning is key and central to this, bridging the gap. So the experts, you can identify the young ones in your establishments and put them together, mentor them, build up their skill set, help them with their decisions, and there has to be the intentionality of succession planning within the organization, because at a point, you surely fade out. The question is, who then wears your boots afterwards? Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So please put your hands together. I think that. So before we come to you, there was, Israel, do you want to take it from here? Okay. So there was a gentleman in purple, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, good morning. I'm Samir Al-Hassan, a Ghanaian, not Nigerian. First of all, I would like to invite the students, especially the nuclear students, to join Ghana Young Generation in Nuclear. It's a movement, or it's a group that is involved in advocacy. I just recently joined it after school, but I understand it's been in existence since 2021. A little history for us, just so we can ignite the passion in joining and helping, because we see from the panelists that most of them don't even have background in nuclear. That is not a bad thing, but then those of us with nuclear background, I think that the onus lies on us to avail ourselves. You won't get this sitting in the classroom. You need to come out and then help, which is why I think last week we came from Nairobi, right? And the African chapter is there. There's the international chapter. So you need to join. Nobody brings it to you. A survey that was conducted also showed by this same Ghana young generation in nuclear, which showed that 85% of the people that were put in this nuclear application. I don't know the test or the error margin with respect to the research, but that informed us, and that led to the organization of webinars in 2021. I think there was a summit which was held in 2021 as well. At this moment, I in particular also submit papers, just small articles on nuclear applications, places where we do nuclear stuff. If you check Nuclear Outlook Africa, we are trying to create a web or what you call it, a site where anybody, stakeholders or students alike, can go fetch information on nuclear. If you want to do masters in nuclear, where to go to, what really are SMRs. We talk about those stuff. But that's what we are doing in our little corner.
Okay.
With the little funding we have.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then thank you very much. Look, unfortunately, we can't take any more questions, but I think there will be an avenue for
yes,
that.
there will be an opportunity. As happened yesterday, there's going to be a roundtable discussion much later on in the day, and then we can take all the questions and the contributions that you have.
Thank you so much. I want to say a special thank you to my panelists. They're going to give us your closing, remark each, and then we can just leave just a minute each. What do you want to say to, for us to just close this section, Professor Marshall?
I'm just going to re-emphasize that it's an ecology, right? And that it's all hands on deck for this. That we need to have that narrative and speak it often in not environments that we are comfortable in, but to also go into other environments where students are, where teachers are, where other stakeholders, parents are, to share that message of what nuclear is all about and the pathway to being involved heavily in the industry itself. So it's an ecology for me. And it's also about relationship building, right? And that happens within the ecology. We're building lifelong relationships that will excel and propel our industry.
Thank you, Professor Marshall. Professor Petticoat.
Well, I'd just like to recognize and commend what you're doing in Ghana with the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, the Nuclear Power Institute, the University of Ghana, the School of Nuclear and Applied Sciences, and the participation and the number of students you have involved. You are really have an excellent and I think tremendously strong base upon which to build for the nuclear future. And I, again, really commend and recognize what's happening in Ghana and say well done and congratulations. Now, you guys go back and study now, okay? You don't get the rest of the day off, so.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so it's all about the opportunities that's in the field of nuclear for me. And my message directly is to my colleagues in the youth that there are lots of opportunities out there. So you have to be proactive, you have to be aggressive about it. And for instance, the Clean Energy Training Center facility that we have virtual lectures every 2 weeks. You can see me, I'll give you the link, you can sign up, and you can benefit from this. Thank you.
Thank you. Innocent.
I'm always the last one, right?
Saving the best for last.
Yes. I think my message is this is the best time to be in any field sort of nuclear in Ghana. I'm really excited about this moment, and I want to encourage all the students to finish and go further. When I started before, I never knew we are going to have a nuclear energy summit today. So it is an exciting moment for me, and I want them to use this opportunity as an encouragement for them to continue to excel in their various fields. Yes.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we agree that they've been an amazing panelist. Please put your hands together. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for the opportunity. We hope to have further discussions later on. So thank you and have a good morning.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause to Rebecca. Another round of applause to Rebecca and the panelists. We say thank you. We want you to come down to the front here. We're going to take some photos. And then there's a token of our appreciation to you for being such a wonderful panelist and moderating. So for the tokens, today I'm going to have Shakur do the presentation. And not Tupac. Okay. And he's he's a member of the organizing team. They've been working really hard. So yes. Right, so let's do the photographs and then, yeah.
Thank you again for just such an engaging topic and discussion. Wilhelmina, we just wanted to give you this token from the team for your remarks today. Again, I think it's going to light a fire, and I hope that it ignites the pursuit of nuclear energy and for the youth and the generation to come so that we can continue to bring this out. So thank you so much today. Innocent, thank you for joining us. I know you came from the States to come back home, so thank you. So thank you for providing your remarks.
And not the last this time.
Dr. Marshall. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you so much. I've been working with him, so I'm going to dap him up. So, thank you so much. You got to show off your couplings too. And yes. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Great questions, too. Thank you so much. And Dr. Petticourt. Yep, thank you. Thank you. Yep. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Give our friend a
Thank you, and thank you, Shakur. Thank you. All right, so we're taking our coffee break now, and we're not going to the lawn where we went to yesterday. This time, there's the hallway right here as you exit. There are two places, the hallway, and then there's a corridor that takes you to the balcony. I would want to believe that those who consider themselves like very young people, they can take the corridor and go to the balcony, and those who feel that they belong to the much older generation, they can stay in the hallway. So if I see you in the hallway, then I know that you're not a young person. But yes, so let's go have a coffee break. We're back at 11 o'clock, so 20 minutes coffee break, and then we're back at 11 o'clock for the next session. Thank you.